In 2000, Kim ends up dropping an album, Notorious K.I.M. Another big album. And on that album, and that song, Notorious K.I.M., Kim ends up dissing Foxy Brown. You guys run into a situation at Hot 97 in 2001. Capone was leaving as you guys were coming in. An argument breaks out and a shooting happens.
No, we were leaving. They pulled up. They had a few cats with them. Some words was exchanged. Then some shots was exchanged. Pretty much.
There was an incident with some AK-47s was pulled out between the two factions of Kim and Foxy, because she had some guys from the hood that was managing her and, you know, all of those things.
It escalated into something really, people almost got that day. It was bad.
In recent times, everyone thinks the fiercest rivalries in hip-hop history were all about male rappers battling for the crown, right? Like the long deadly feud between Tupac and Biggie. Well, Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown seem to have broken that a long time ago.
Outside New York City radio station Hot 97 last week, police say it was Lil' Kim's posse versus friends of Foxy Brown. 5 guns in all, 21 shots fired, and 1 man shot in the back.
The legendary clash between these two heavyweights in the rap game still lingers in everyone's memory. In fact, their beef might just take the crown for the bloodiest and most intense feud in hip-hop history. Let's unwrap a bit. Once upon a time in Brooklyn, Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown were on similar paths, both chasing dreams and repping their borough. Kim was signed to Biggie Small's Bad Boy Records, while Foxy made waves at Def Jam. What's wild is that they weren't just peers. They actually started out as friends, with Foxy Brown always revering Lil' Kim at any given chance.
If I understand, y'all are good friends.
Real good friends. I take that as a compliment. Kim does her thing. She's Queen Bee, and I give it up to her.
So what flipped the switch? Well, the exact spark that set their feud ablaze is still a mystery, but what we do know is that things escalated fast. Heated confrontations, diss tracks, and even a bloody shootout which is recorded to be the bloodiest ever. But how did it even start?
Inga came by, and Troy wouldn't let her downstairs. And he was like, you know, why can't I go downstairs? And they're like, yo, they down there like meeting Biggs down there. They down there like seeing what's going on with Junior M.A.F.I.A. And she's like,
Let's take it back a bit. Lil' Kim's journey to the top is a story straight out of a movie. She was just getting off work when Biggie Smalls rolled up on her after hearing she could spit bars. But instead of hyping her up, he plays it cool, teasing that she was too pretty to be a rapper and throwing in a playful jab that she probably couldn't even rap. Classic Biggie move. Of course, Kim took the bait, dropped some rhymes right there, and boom, it was game on. Biggie was hooked and started bringing her around, eventually making her a part of Junior M.A.F.I.A. Biggie didn't just mentor her, he shaped her whole vibe. From music tips to her image, he had a hand in it all, even encouraging her to soften her voice to balance out her raw, rough style back then. Kim's early shine came through guest spots on Biggie's debut album Ready to Die, which dropped in September 1994. She popped up on the intro, the infamous F.Me, Interlude, and Friend of Mine. But it was Junior M.A.F.I.A.'s debut album, Conspiracy, in 1995 that really put her on the map.
The Pac Macs and Cadillacs, now I pimp gaps in the axe. Watch my
Tracks like Player's Anthem and Get Money became massive hits, and Kim's standout verses made people take notice. Suddenly, she was the one to watch, and the first from Junior M.A.F.I.A. lined up to drop a solo album. Now, while Kim was making waves, Foxy Brown was busy carving her own lane. She grew up in Brooklyn too, connecting with heavy hitters like DJ Clark Kent and Tone from the Trackmasters. On the underground lyricist circuit, she went by the name Queen Nefertiti and was part of a group called Rotten Candy. At first, she signed with Capitol Records under the name Big Shorty, later switching to AKA, but things didn't pan out and she was dropped. Foxy even tried to link up with Bad Boy, but Diddy wasn't biting at the time. Little did he know, she was about to find her own way to the top. After her encounter with Diddy came the birth of her iconic name, Foxy Brown. She took that name straight from Pam Grier's legendary character in the movie Foxy Brown. But get this, she didn't just snag it on a whim. Pam Grier herself gave her the green light with one condition. Foxy had to elevate the name and make it iconic in her own right, and she did just that. Her big breakthrough came when she got a spot on LL Cool J's classic I Shot Ya remix.
Get a mix, the chinks, toe down, we sip drinks, rockin' mix, flashing rings and things.
Funny thing, that track was originally supposed to be for Biggie, but somehow it landed with LL. At first, people were hesitant to put a rookie like Foxy on such a high-profile record, but when she hit the booth, she shut down any doubts. Her verse? Fire. She held her own with seasoned rappers and made people sit up and pay attention. That moment kicked off a bidding war between labels, with Def Jam ultimately winning out. With her new deal locked in, Foxy was set to release her debut album, but we'll get to that in a bit. Now let's talk about the parallels between Lil' Kim and Foxy. Sure, their styles were different, but their journeys surprisingly similar. Kim's come-up was tied to her connection with Biggie, while Foxy had her own powerhouse network, including DJ Clark Kent and Tone from the Trackmasters, not to mention a key boost from Jay-Z. Both of them broke into the rap game young and completely flipped the script for female rappers at the time. Oh, and there's a fun fact. Lil' Kim and Foxy even briefly attended the same high school. Early on, everything between them seemed cool. Kim even addressed the comparisons in an interview with The Source that came out the same month as their debut albums. People were already trying to pit them against each other, asking if Foxy was copying Kim's style. But Kim wasn't having it. She called Foxy her girl and said she loved seeing another woman repping a similar vibe. She talked about how female rappers needed to stick together and prove they could go toe-to-toe with the guys. In fact, maybe even outshine them.
Anyway, y'all, listen, coming up, we got my girl, a drink for my girl, that's right, Brown, baby, that's right, Fox Brown, new joint coming out.
So for a moment, it seemed like they were all about unity. But as we know, that didn't last. Foxy Brown once said that Lil' Kim paved the way for her, crediting Kim as the first to bring that sexy hardcore vibe to female rap. The two even linked up on the No One Else remix by Total, which was a big deal at the time. Then came the real game changer, their debut albums. Lil' Kim dropped Hardcore on November 12th, and it debuted at 11 on the Billboard 200, selling 78,000 copies in its first week.
Why you count your jewels thinking I'ma cheat you? The only one thing I wanna do is freak you.
Just a week later, on November 19th, Foxy released Ill Na Na, which landed at #7 on the Billboard 200 with 109,000 first-week sales, while Kim held the record for the highest debut week for a female rapper for 1 week. Foxy swooped in and broke it, but here's the kicker. While Ill Na Na had stronger opening numbers, Hardcore ended up having more longevity in terms of impact and sales. Back then, Lil' Kim was everywhere. The buzz for Hardcore was insane. Posters, hit singles, the works. Foxy, though, was K-ing it too. She was stacking features like on Ain't No Nja with Jay-Z, the You're Making Me High remix with Toni Braxton, and Touch Me Tease Me. Her singles from Ill Na Na were also crushing it. Get Me Home hit 42 on the Billboard Hot 100, I'll Be reached 7, and Big Bad Mama climbed to 53. In fact, Foxy even shouted Kim out on the Ill Na Na track The Promise, saying she'd been waiting for Kim's album because she knew it would be fire. Wildly enough, just a week after showing her respect, Kim dropped her own album. With both debuting so close together, comparisons between Kim and Foxy were inevitable, and the media didn't miss a chance to fan the flames. By February 1997, things seemed cool. The two appeared together on the cover of The Source, side by side, looking like they were on top of the world. They didn't do the interview together, but they clearly shot the cover together and seemed friendly enough. But not long after, it all fell apart, and suddenly, they weren't just being compared, they were rivals. Even DJ Clark Kent hinted at knowing how the drama started, but to this day, no one seems to fully understand what went wrong. In DJ Clark Kent's version, he claimed that Daddy-O, one of the masterminds behind Junior M.A.F.I.A, had considered bringing Foxy into the group at one point. But according to Clark, it wasn't about Kim being chosen over Foxy. It was more about whether Junior M.A.F.I.A was even ready to have two female rappers. This all happened way before their debut albums, and even after that, Kim and Foxy seemed to be cool for a while. Clark Kent even still went on to suggest that the whole thing could have been over something ridiculously petty, like a misunderstood comment in an article that just spiraled out of control because no one stepped in to clear the air. Now, when it comes to style, a lot of people have accused Foxy of copying Kim, whether it's with her music, her fashion, or that sexy hardcore image. There are even side-by-side comparisons of their outfits floating around. The The theory from Kim Osorio, the former editor-in-chief of The Source and a well-known hip-hop journalist, seems to buttress this. She mentioned hearing mixed stories, but one that stood out was about their album packaging. If you look at their debut album covers, they're both rocking similar outfits, and apparently there's a rumor that one borrowed the outfit from the other. Supposedly that sparked some drama, and led to them not speaking. Sounds trivial, right? But that's the thing with beefs. Sometimes they start over the smallest things. To be fair though, Foxy herself said Kim was the blueprint for that style and paved the way for her. Still, maybe after a while, Kim felt like it was getting to be too much. Like Foxy wasn't just inspired by her, but straight up stepping on her toes. Whatever the real reason, it's clear that small things piled up until they couldn't ignore the tension anymore. Back in 2011, Foxy Brown's brother spilled some tea in an interview with Vibe. He claimed that Liar Cohen had offered both Lil' Kim and Foxy $500,000 each to show up at the Hit Factory studio and finally record their legendary Thelma and Louise project. But guess what? Neither of them showed up. DJ Clark Kent later shared that years down the line, someone even dangled $1 million in front of him to make the album happen. He tried reaching out, not to Kim nor Foxy directly, but to their teams, but it just never materialized. Fast forward to 2021, and out of nowhere, Fat Joe was doing an Instagram Live with former Bad Boy producer Rashad Ringo Smith. During the show, Ringo played a snippet of a previously unheard track called Enjoy Yourself. Word is that track was meant to be part of the scrapped Thelma and Louise album. Can you imagine what could have been if that project had actually dropped? Now, some people believe the tension between Kim and Foxy wouldn't have gotten so intense if Biggie hadn't passed away in March 1997.
Biggie, one thing about Biggie, he knew how to keep everybody together.
There's also talk that Foxy aligning herself with Nas and The Firm, drifting away from Jay-Z, might have added to the friction, but Clark Kent isn't buying it. He's adamant that the beef between Kim and Foxy wasn't just about music, it was personal. Foxy was the first to openly address the feud in her song My Life from her China Doll album, which dropped in January 1999. In the track, she reflects on how she and someone she once considered a sister used to dream together about their rise to fame. She even references Thelma and Louise, a nod to the collaboration album that never happened. But by the end of the song, she's acknowledging how they went their separate ways and don't even speak anymore.
With my sister, we used to dream together how we could make it real big, do our thing together.
Later that same year, Lil' Kim fired back on Lil Cease's track Play Around from his debut album. The song included a line from Diddy telling people to stop copying her style, which many took as a direct shot at Foxy. By 1999, the media was constantly comparing Kim and Foxy, fueling the narrative that their rivalry was bigger than just rap, and the music they dropped that year only added more fire to the drama. In 2000, Lil' Kim dropped her The Notorious K.Y.M. album, but not without its fair share of drama. Before the official release, the album leaked in the summer of 1999, with several songs floating around on file-sharing platforms and bootleg CDs. When the album finally came out, Kim wasted no time taking shots, especially on the self-titled track. In the first verse, she came out swinging, throwing shade about how some girls act differently but secretly want to be her. She even called out someone for running around with a gun, spitting fake raps, and having panic attacks. The panic attack line seemed like a direct dig at Foxy Brown, who had a reputation for what some saw as erratic behavior. As for the fake raps comment, it's no secret that Foxy had ghostwriters, but to be fair, so did Kim. So that was a bit of a glass house moment. Foxy responded in her own way on her track 730 from her Broken Silence album. She clapped back, saying she writes her own stuff, but even if Jay-Z wrote for her, so what? She claimed she blew him up just as much as he helped her. A clear reference to their collab on Ain't No, Jay's breakout hit. Foxy also made it clear she wasn't afraid of anyone, saying she could have taken Kim out but chose not to because it wouldn't have been a fair fight. She even addressed rumors about her crashing her Range Rover, brushing it off like, yeah, I'm crazy, so what? But Kim wasn't holding back either. On the Notorious K.I.M., she went on to say that Foxy wasn't a real star and hinted her label knew it. She questioned how Foxy managed to make money and blow up, even saying she'd bet on Lil Cease over Foxy and The Firm. Kim then hit below the belt, claiming that if it were back in the day, she would have handled Foxy herself, but now she's too busy making money, so she's leaving it to the girls in the hood.
This chick running around with a stink gap in the fake raps, having panic attacks, you ain't a star.
She also took another jab at Foxy's ghostwriting, telling her to stop paying guys to write her verses. The shots didn't go unanswered. Foxy fired back on Bang Bang, a track from Capone and Noriega's The Reunion album in 2000. By this point, the back and forth was heating up, and the disses were getting more direct with every song. The feud had officially gone from subtle jabs to full-on war. The verse we got from Foxy Brown on Bang Bang was apparently the toned-down version, according to Nor. He said Foxy's original verse was way more disrespectful, but what exactly she said remains a mystery. Even the lines that made it into the final version caused enough drama, though. Many believe Foxy's references to Biggie in the song were a major trigger for the infamous Hot 97 incident. Foxy's verse opens with "Hot damn, here we go again," a nod to MC Lyte's legendary track 10% Diss from her 1988 album Light as a Rock. Interestingly, Lil' Kim also used the same line in her iconic verse on the Quiet Storm remix in 1999 as a way of paying homage to MC Lyte. However, some fans have speculated that Kim's Quiet Storm verse might have been aimed at Foxy, or even Charlie Baltimore, based on lines like "coming in the game on some modeling shit HS sucked it just to get to the top." Back to Bang Bang, Foxy directly called out Kim, accusing her of sneak dissing and asking why she and Diddy kept throwing subliminal shots, a clear reference to Kim's lines on the notorious K.I.M. Foxy went even further, telling Kim to let Biggie rest in peace, get off his name, and focus on her own career. She also dismissed Kim's decision to delay the notorious K.Y.M. album, saying she didn't care and implying that Kim was overhyping herself. This was likely written before Kim's album dropped, but it still referenced Kim's infamous line on The Notorious Big from Biggie's posthumous album Born Again, where Kim said, "Be glad I pushed my album back. I did y'all favor." Things escalated to a dangerous level in February 2001. Lil' Kim and her entourage bumped into Capone from Capone and Noriega, who was a close friend of Foxy's, outside the Hot 97 offices in New York. An argument broke out between the two groups, and things quickly spiraled out of control.
Capone was leaving as you guys were coming in. An argument breaks out, and a shooting happens.
No, we were leaving.
Over 20 shots were fired from 5 different guns, and one of Capone's associates ended up getting shot in the back.
Outside New York City radio station Hot 97 last week, police say it was Lil' Kim's posse versus friends of Foxy Brown. 5 guns in all, 21 shots fired, and 1 man shot in the back.
This violent incident marked a dark turning point in what had started as a war of words. About a week after the Hot 97 incident, Foxy Brown offered a truce, saying she didn't even know how the feud started but wanted to end it.
I just don't think somebody should get for people realize that a change has to happen. We just want to stop it. We just want to say, look, let's put an end to it.
She told Russell Simmons she was willing to have a sit-down with Lil' Kim and even suggested doing a collaboration. But Kim's camp didn't respond. Nor later explained that the beef between the two was inevitable, with or without Bang Bang, and that he and Capone were just backing Foxy as her friends. Fast forward to 2004, Lil' Kim faced legal trouble tied to the Hot 97 shooting. Initially claiming she wasn't there, evidence proved otherwise, and she was charged with perjury and obstruction of justice for lying to a grand jury. In 2005, Kim was sentenced to a year and a day in prison and fined $50,000. She was released in 2006, having already cemented her legacy with 4 albums, 3 of which went platinum. Meanwhile, Foxy's career stalled after her 2001 Broken Silence album, which went gold. In 2005, she faced a severe hearing loss that significantly impacted her music output. Though both women made huge waves in hip-hop, their careers took very different turns, and the feud that once dominated headlines faded into history.